Pretty Little Liars, the book series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We've provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have some more chapters of Pretty Little Liars for you. I don't know how many. I couldn't remember.
Chapter 6 through 16. So 10.
It should not have taken us that long to do that math.
So I do the thing, like, you know.
Or do you count the number that you're, like, do you count 6 and 16?
Exactly.
So yeah, so technically 11?
That's what I was going to say. Is it 11? I always do this with, like, TV episodes. It's like, I have this many left, and it's always one more.
Uh-huh.
And then I never know which way I'm doing it. I didn't count them out. 6 through 16. We stopped at 17.
Don't ask us to do math for you.
Mm-hmm. Damn. You know, I didn't do, like, looking up, like, plots, premises for any of these books going in, so we could just go in fresh. Yeah, we're really taking our time kind of putting this together. Like, this book is just going to end with them all working, like, finally meeting up again. And I don't know. I guess I thought it would probably be formatted differently just because of the adaptation. But it's like, oh, they're not, like, we're not going to get anywhere near, like, as deep into as the show got, like, through a first season sort of thing. And I saw someone actually commented, was like, oh, yeah, I think it just, like, captures the first, like, it's just the pilot. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can 100% see that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about accurate.
Mm-hmm. With, like,
or at least, like, the first couple of plot lines, you know?
Exactly. There's other things, like spun out here and there that they didn't take as much time in the pilot that is, like, part of a longer plot line, like, say, Emily and Maya. Like, there's, because it's, like, focusing on one girl at a time going through their secrets. It's, you know, the things that are, like, condensed in that pilot, it's strung out over a lot longer. But I just comparing to, it's just like, oh, this would be how the Netflix adaptation would have been. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
book 1 would have been a 6-episode season 1.
100%. Have you seen the Surf Dracula?
No.
Okay, it's let me get the accurate definition on the actor absolute. Okay, here we go. It was a tweet. This is at Topher Florence. Back in the day, if you did a TV show called Surf Dracula, you'd see that fool surfing every week in new adventures, but in the streaming area, the entire first season got to be a long-ass flashback to see how he got the surfboard, till you finally get to see him surf for the 5 minutes in the finale.
Yeah, it really does seem like they do that with a lot of shows.
100%. So it's just funny. We'll see when we get to Original Sin. It's like, oh, if that's, like, kind of like that way. But that's, like, what I had in my mind this entire time.
I don't think so.
It works better in a book, but
yeah, I would think that Original Sin is still formatted in, like, the same fast pace as, like, as Pretty Little Liars. Well, I guess not, because, well, I don't know though, because if you think about the other things, the guy who did
Riverdale.
Yeah, because he did Riverdale, he did Sabrina. Sabrina didn't have that.
No.
Sabrina was like, okay, we've set the scene already. We got Harvey, we got Sabrina, we got Nick pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true.
They're
all bouncing off each other a lot faster.
They're all a lot faster, yeah.
And there's more Monster of the Week stuff happening in that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, maybe not. But I just had that in my head as I was, like, reading for these chapters for this episode, which I think still works fine. Like, I think it works fine in the book. Just, like, comparatively, it's like, oh yeah, there's, like, so much more that we're kind of just focused on them. They are not friends with each other still. Like, there's, like, a ton of distance there. They haven't even, like, really begun to interact with one another. And there's no A, other than here and there. Like, A's presence is barely felt, and also low tech. It's a lot of notes and things. There's, like,
but that's
some
how.
text.
Remember, that's how the show started.
Low tech.
Remember the fucking wanted poster blew to them in the wind. They kept finding notes in their lockers. They did those exactly the same.
I forgot that one.
Because when we first started watching it, and you're like, oh, like, I thought it'd be like, I think even like at the beginning, I don't know, we'd have to go back and listen. Like, you were like, oh, like, I thought it'd be more like, and I was like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna get past our current levels of technology soon. But I think they started like using the stuff from the book, like reading it. I'm like, oh yeah, the note was in Emily's locker. Remember, it was a lot of just like, here's a physical thing.
Right. Here's a note here. Here's a note there.
And then we got to teeth.
Jesus Christ. My enemy. But
The teeth, not Jesus Christ, right?
You know what you did.
Doesn't seem like the one to take on. You know what I mean?
Just saying, he knows what he did. But yeah. So it's it's funny how like not non-A focused it is.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. We're really setting the scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that this is taking much more time going through each of their individual lives without the not necessarily the same amount of pressure on like an overall hook.
I think they kind of like when you have 4 narrators or 4 characters you're following, you kind of have to take that time, and so to make it then fit into a YA style novel, you gotta kind of.
But it's not like every single chapter is ending with like an A thing.
Oh yeah. No, because she wants you to know the characters.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's what makes the story and the show so good is the characters.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But it's
way more interesting than A at certain points.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the dynamics are what I was there for.
But the focus of like the entire driver of it in comparison to this, it's just.
But sometimes you forget that A's involved. Like you got so many plot lines, you're like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be looking for a friend.
Yeah, there's just not. It's just like everybody's kind of at this point just kind of like wondering, like, like that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what it could be. Like, could it be this person? Could it be that person? Even suspecting like other people within the group. I think Aria at one point suspects Spencer, and it's just like, could she have done that? It's like maybe. Which I like. So, should I get into the summary for this week?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Here we go. Emily's boyfriend Ben bugs her to go to the Wawa before practice, but she's actually waiting to walk Maya home from her first day. She walks her home. Maya calls her cute, and they exchange kisses on each other's cheeks. Emily goes to swim practice, all elated and confused by like what took place, and finds a note in her locker from A that says she's been replaced, and Emily's found a new friend to kiss. The only other friend she's kissed is Allison. Spencer, meanwhile, finds that Ian is her new assistant field hockey coach. He hits on her. It's gross. Back at home, she goes to climb in her hot tub, just as Ren also is. He's in town with Melissa to do shopping, and she dropped him off at the house to, I don't know, hang out. They jacuzzi together, and he gives Spencer a massage. She eventually freaks out and runs away to her room, leaving him confused. She finds an email on her laptop from A hinting at her pattern of stealing her sister's boyfriends. She also sees a pale figure in Allie's old window. Hanna tries to hook up with Sean at her house when her mom comes home, and he stops her and leaves. We are introduced to Miss Marin, a high-powered career woman at an ad agency. The book also calls her a MILF. She's been divorced from Hannah's dad for 4 years, and he's remarried to a woman named Isabel who has a daughter named Kate. Foreboding.
They kept all of that plot, even Sean.
Yeah.
I was like, my God, he's still here?
Stapled it. Can we get him out of here already?
Literally thought he'd only be in like an episode.
Allison had accompanied Hanna back in the day to meet Kate originally, but she didn't help at all, and Hannah's dad called her a pig. She threw up for the first time after that.
So awful.
It really is. A police officer named Wilden then comes to the house and arrests Hanna for shoplifting. At the police station, I wrote in Ashley, because they don't use first names at all, except for Ella and Byron. Miss Marin covers for Hanna and tries to get them to drop the charges. Hanna gets a text from A saying prison food makes you fat. Byron takes Mike and Aria to school. Aria thinks back on her first day in Ezra's class, but vows that he's the one for her and they can make this work. Byron stops her before she goes to class and asks if she's feeling weird about still keeping a secret. She remembers back in 7th grade when Allison and her saw him and his student Meredith making out in the backseat of his car. She kept it a secret on his behest for all these years. She says it's fine and goes to class. She stops by Ezra's office to talk, hoping to make things work, but he shoots her down. Maya gets Emily to ditch swimming practice and instead go swimming in the river. She tells Emily she's breaking up with her beard, to which Emily surprisingly says, "Oh, I'm going to too." They play fight, and then eventually Emily tells her about Allison. Maya comes clean and says she doesn't know if she even liked boys, and Emily gets all flustered. She then sees a group of boys, which includes Michelangelo, and freaks out and ruins the moment. Hanna and Mona eat at a restaurant at the country club, discussing the upcoming con bacchanal when they see Wilton. Mona recognizes him from Rosewood, and Hanna tries to cover how she knows him, but eventually cops to being brought into the station. Mona has a really negative reaction, which sends Hanna into a spiral. Hanna leaves and drives off to a dirt road and binge eats sweet potato fries. When she's back home, she purges. Spencer gets her gets her physical mail and finds that she got an amazing PSAT score. She angrily scowls at her rival, Andrew Campbell, who drives by. She heads inside as Melissa and Wren come home, and she tries to avoid Wren. At the dinner table, Mr. Hastings starts a game of Star Power, the family game where they all compare accomplishments for the day. They forget to include Spencer, but she then speaks up, and her parents are excited by her test scores. They offer to reward her, and she's like, "Can I move into the barn?" And they shockingly agree, much to Melissa's annoyance, who's going to move in there. Aria asks Ella for dating advice. Mike says that Noel likes her, which Aria reacts negatively to, and he wonders why she doesn't love him the way he does. She heads to school, all excited to give a presentation to knock Ezra's socks off. He's not impressed, but her failure allows her to bond with Noel, who she is impressed with simply by knowing common facts about Europe and traveling there. Oh, to be young. Aria gets another text from A and finds that no one else in her class has their phone out. She wonders if Allie's back. Spencer looks up Wren on the school computer when Andrew sneaks up behind her. He invites her to Noel's party, which she shoots down. She then begins to suspect Andrew of being A and is immediately relieved by this because he's not much of a threat. She runs into Emily and they awkwardly exchange greetings. She sees Emily is still wearing the string bracelet Allie made them after the Jenna thing, a prank against Jenna's brother Toby that went wrong. Toby saw Allison but had to keep it a secret because Allie knew something about him. Toby and Jenna were then sent to a boarding school for their troubles. A day after the river trip, Emily decided she's going to repress everything. Ben flirts with her and invites her over when his parents will be out. She finds this absolutely repulsive and rejects his touchy advances. Her sister Carolyn checks in to make sure she's okay. Emily tells Ben she can't come over, and he gets really pissed. Oh man, and I didn't even write a summary for this last one, which is a real bummer. So Hanna is upset, talks to Voda, and remembers. Oh wait. Sorry, is upset about like Sean not like wanting to have sex, and then she thinks back on Hanna and Allison going to meet with Kate, where Allison absolutely throws her under a bus, and then gets a note from A, and Hanna blames herself for her dad leaving because of her weight. End.
Wow, 10 chapters.
I know, flying by. So do we want to go? We could go through chapter by chapter, or we can go through characters. I don't know if we want to if you'd rather do it that way.
Either way, it's up to you.
Okay. Well, I mean, we might as well start with Emily. Who I feel like it's more. I think that they do a good job of capturing like this, like playfulness of being young and young love. And then especially not knowing what to do, like she like what to do with it when it's the same sex. Like she's always awkward around. She finds herself not awkward around Maya until she's forced to confront like what is actually going on, and then she immediately clams up.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's I feel like that's what you do regardless.
Right.
You're like, we're not just friends. Panic.
Right. And it's like, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to love Ben, who's this amazing swim star, and he's the handsome
Except
boy
that
at
she's
school.
a better swimmer.
Yeah.
And he gets mad about it and doesn't let her pass him. That made me mad. That's what I thought about.
I know. Swim etiquette.
I don't know swim etiquette.
I don't either.
If Emily says it's swim etiquette, I believe her.
Yeah. I've never been on a swim team, and I didn't swim lanes.
No. I didn't even. I know. Not for me.
But yeah, like it's I don't want to say childish. That's not the right word, but like kind of like that youthful kind of like playfulness to it.
Yeah.
It's like they kiss each other on the cheeks, and then it's like back and forth. It's like, I kiss you, then I kiss you, then we kiss you, and it's like, oh, but dancing around what they like actually want to do, which is very cute. But I find like Emily's like stiffness around it is like extremely relatable.
She panics.
And and that immediately she's so tightly wound
Mm-hmm.
and like can't let anything kind of like go out of control
Uh-huh.
that like she has to like keep it all like bottled inside.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard because not a lot happens
With
in
her.
these. Well, just in general, like you're still really getting to know the characters,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't have. It's YA, obviously, so it reads fast. But because it doesn't have the like pressure of like the way the show is structured,
Mm-hmm.
it does make it harder for me to sit here and be like, what's memorable about this besides just like Ben being annoying.
Mm-hmm. Right. We can go through chapter by chapter then. I
No,
think
it's
that
okay.
might work out a bit better then.
Okay.
And also I think that could be a good call for us to do more pages per episode.
Yeah, it's just like not a lot happens.
Mm-hmm.
I did, of course, I made notes when I saw the dated references. So we can
Right.
also do that at some point.
Yeah. There's a few of them too that like we can't really save for the end. They're like a more load bearing, I think, like changes. Rather than just like a Nintendo Switch like that, which gets mentioned, which is one of them.
I don't know about that one.
But like one I think that is also really funny is that in Emily's locker, Liv Tyler is it's sorry, Lily Reinhart is just in her locker in my version, and I think that's a huge difference between
Liv Tyler as Arwen the Elf, or just Lily Reinhart.
Right, exactly. Whereas like one is like a very specific character for the time that also I think gives you much more of a hint of like when like gay people like look back, it's just like, yeah, I was so gay I had a picture of Arwen and the elf. Whereas like I guess like someone having a poster of a famous like celebrity they like at the time is like less indicative, so it like doesn't land like in the same way as like having Arwen the elf as like that like crush that everybody had in the mid 2000s.
Yes, yeah.
Which I find funny. And Ben is also blonde. Everybody's blonde.
Everybody's blonde in this.
Except I made the mistake last time. Hanna is not blonde.
No, she has brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like a reddy brown.
Right. And it seems like too, Emily is way more. Oh yeah, because you don't get the wider like picture of the school. Emily seems way more cut off.
Mm-hmm.
That she like doesn't have friends. She's just kind of like running from things to things, and that makes her seem more lonely than say Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Who you can also interpret as lonely, but she is heavily involved in so many things that she's like constantly running and doing things.
I don't know. I mean, Emily's like a key component of a swim team. Like she's got her sister and stuff like that. I would say I think Spencer would be more lonely. Like that's how I would read that. Like she's isolating herself.
Yeah, that's fair, but it just seems like I guess Emily feels that way.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And especially because she's the only one that hasn't moved on from Allison. Like she's still thinking and missing that piece. So then, when you come along with Maya,
she's still wearing the bracelet.
Exactly. Yeah. And like can't immediately talk to Maya about it.
Hanna hasn't moved on either though. Everything Hanna does, Hanna thinks, oh, I wish Allie could see that. So I don't know.
Well, it's different.
It's different because Emily's was a more romantic feeling. But I was just like, oh no, like actually, like Hanna's hanging on to that too.
Totally.
Spencer, no, you don't really get like you get she's haunted by Allison, but not that she's like almost like it's not like she wants to talk to her.
Right.
It's like she's like, oh, was that her?
And then Aria is just completely on her own path.
Aria's just doing girl boss shit all by herself, and
we're gonna come back to Aria. She makes me cringe so much for such very like specific teen reasons.
I literally have no qualms with Aria in the book. I'm like, no, this feels so accurate.
Right.
Like it's uncomfortable.
That's
but
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
She's not like she's really like you're like, oh yeah, like this is what we were like.
Yes. And that's why I went like, oh,
I love that.
Yeah, it's cringy, right? Or no, not at all.
I mean, it is, but like, I don't know. I think as an adult, I spent so much time trying to erase the part of me that cringes at like being a teenager, because teenage girls are judged so harshly for existing that I'm like, no. Like, as long as she is not literally setting fire to the building, then we're good.
Right. So we might as well just talk about the scene. I think we're both talking about where she gives the presentation up front, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's so like, she's like, I'm going to set the scene and I'm going to create this ambiance and I'm going to talk about how worldly I am. And I'm like, yes, I would let her finish.
So
eat it up, girly pop.
And it's like, and he's gonna love it. I think it's the attention part of it too.
The confidence in it.
And then you get crickets. Ooh.
She doesn't, because Noel Kahn is
right.
He's the social status of the school, so she doesn't get crickets.
Everybody else, he's the only one that is like speaking up.
But because he spoke up, everyone else will say that it was great. Because Noel is Noel, because he's the right. Mike loves him.
That's what I was gonna say. Michelangelo has a huge crush on him.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you're probably. I could see that turning that way. I didn't.
That's how that works. That's how as long as the cool boy or one of the cool boys or a boy on the football team says that what you did was cool enough, then everyone else is gonna pretend like it was good. At least how we worked then. I don't know what the current social currency is, but my book is 2006.
Yes. And my book is 2006 with 2021 dressing.
Yeah, they got rid of all the Blackberries and LG flip phones.
So weird.
Ashley Marin has 2 phones in my book.
Yeah, I think it was only one, and I don't think it's even brought up.
Yeah, she's got her Blackberry. Hanna references her Blackberry, and she walks in on the phone on an LG flip phone. Oh. And so I just want to know, what flip phone was it?
But yeah, the I think also the cringing is the youthful idea that you can make this big impassioned act. I'm gonna win over all.
It's because we all watch so many rom-coms,
right?
And like coming of age movies,
where it's like, you stand up there and you give this you do this act.
10 things I hate about you.
Right. And right. Like Heath Ledger dances around like outside of the school and sings to her like while he's getting tackled by security, and everybody loves it. So yeah, it's a very specific
love
thing.
It. I eat it up.
So it's because it's coming too, of like, oh, this is just gonna fall flat on your face. Like, this isn't how it works. And she's
Aria
even reminiscing.
Doesn't care.
She does.
She does a little, like she bounces back real fast for a girly pop.
Thanks to Noel.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, like, I think Aria just in general bounces back pretty fast. In the way she's written in this story.
Right. I don't know if without Noel she would have been like, okay, like she probably would have, because it's all centered around, it's for someone specifically. It's for Fitz.
Yeah.
And Fitz doesn't respond
appropriately for her, according to her expectations.
I was gonna say, like, actually he does. It is appropriate.
Well, I don't know, what was the assignment. We didn't read it. Maybe he told them to set the scene.
Right, and he doesn't let her finish, which is fucked up.
Yeah,
he should have just said like Miss Montgomery, like let's get it going.
Yeah.
But no, he makes her sit down.
But he's a bad teacher.
Yeah.
Because he's already like hooked up with one of his students. I mean, you're not exactly looking at Teacher of the Year material.
No.
You're looking at first cell on the block.
That's right. Cell block tango, very different.
Ezra doing the cell block tango.
Yeah. But it is interesting with Noel. You get like the giant meathead that we've already like not liked, but we're getting but maybe he has like there's more to him. And that's why I went like, oh, youth, because it is extremely accurate on the nose, where it's like, wow, about a thing I like, some facts. Wow, that's great. Like if someone had if a girl had come to me like in high school and was like, I love Kingdom Hearts, it would have been like, oh my god, she might be the one.
We would have been married at age 14.
Well, no, I had too much anxiety to have a relationship at that. Well, not at 14. Later on, I would have. So
you would have had to have locked it down pretty quick.
Yeah, I was
and then
just,
held on tight.
I was just more oblivious then. At 14, anxiety came a few years later. But at this point, but you know, she's like, wow, maybe he has some facts to him because he knows what absinthe is.
Yeah,
right.
He's worldly. He's had alcohol we don't even have here.
Well, he hasn't had it yet. He
wants to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knows about it.
Exactly, and she's like, wow.
Just like the cool boys in Europe. I don't know.
But this is also the trap too, because you don't know. Like he knows some facts.
Yeah, I don't know. And as a girl who was like a little different, I don't think I was that quirky in high school. We were all kind of going through the quirky phases. I don't really think I was particularly interesting in that way. But I was like, man, like the attention you get from like an athlete and like when they agree with like what you're doing is hilarious. And like for me, because I was like, I have to get out of this town, I don't care what anyone thinks, like I kind of had that like protection and bubble, so things like that didn't impact me in the same way.
Right.
But of course it still, you know, like it still could. And so like I can see a lot of myself in that, and like it makes me wonder like about like that attention I got, like what was their actual intention behind it?
Right.
And like did they just think I was pretty?
But there is something genuine about like that type of person, that especially like this archetype, like giving the attention there because it's with their whole heart, right?
Yeah.
It is the Labrador giving all of its like
love to
attention.
you. Yeah.
Even though it's not as like that attention is often not as naive and unconditionally loving as a Labrador.
No.
It is still a boy.
Yeah.
But in the analogy at least of like that type of outpouring of love, you don't really get from more reserved other people.
No.
So like even as a guy, like, you know, when you get those people just being like, like,
no,
gassing you up.
I think it's less romantic and more about social standing in this particular instance. It just works better when it's in a romantic scenario, especially in like a YA setting.
Exactly.
But like I think a lot of what like romance in YA is actually just like being a good friend.
I mean, yeah.
Like one that's like you don't want to be with someone who's not your friend. Yeah. Like you don't want to be like, you want to have someone who like likes you as a person.
Right. Makes Aria feel good and like likes things she likes. Makes sense.
Or respects the things she likes, you know? It's like, oh, and gives her the upper hand. You've done this really cool thing that I haven't done. And I'm the cool kid. So like you're cooler than me by proxy.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of social status in that. I could go to a high school and just like spend my time analyzing this, except I don't understand what's happening anymore.
You're just going to pull have you ever seen Never Been Kissed?
I don't think so.
Drew Barrymore. Okay, we shouldn't be talking about struck work, but we're going to go for a brief detour. Drew Barrymore is a reporter that goes undercover to a high school, and she's never been kissed.
That sounds like it could go really poorly.
But what did you know? It all works out with the teacher.
Okay, good. I was like, no.
With the teacher.
Ezra fits.
With the teacher.
Okay.
So.
Does he know that she's undercover?
Not till later.
Oh no!
But they don't like hook up before then.
Okay.
She kisses at the very end of the movie because she's never been kissed.
What was I thinking?
Right. No, you're not gonna put that in the middle of your movie.
The movie starts with a kiss.
Right. Exactly.
It had never been.
Immediately deflationary. Wow. And then you're just watching like these people for an hour and a half. I don't know why. Okay, going back to Emily. She is part of a prestigious swim family. This is the Aquaman family. They're on land and but they swim and they do it the best and they all go to college. She has never been more religious than in this book with a family of 4 kids.
Oh yeah, no, you're right about the canonically Catholic.
And the way they like repress things and things, I'm like, damn. I think even in the TV we talked about, I'm like, I see a lot of like Emily. I'm like, I see a lot of Emily. It's great.
So if you had to map yourself onto a character, would it be Emily?
Probably.
I don't know. Would I end up as an Aria or a Spencer?
Oh.
I'm not a Hanna.
No. And there's like parts, I would say like the if I was gonna, you know, you're doing like quadrants. It would be like majority Emily with some of Hanna for me. And I think you're probably majority Aria with a sub of Spencer.
Yeah, just an undercurrent of anxiety and stress.
Exactly, because like while Aria is still getting her sea legs back, at least at this point, like you'd have the confidence of Spencer, where it's just like.
Well, and also what I really think is funny about Aria is that like she honestly, that girl could not give 2 shits about most things. That's it. I aspire
She's
to be
hyper-focused,
that
too.
level of apathetic and focused at the same time.
But she also has exactly what you're talking about there. Like going back in the early chapters. I mean, she hears from Mike about Noel, and it's just like, ugh, that guy. But it's like in generally just like, I gotta get out of this like cowpoke town.
Yeah, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what really draws me to Aria as a character.
Right, I really get this. It's like none of these people can hurt me because I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah, I'm going back to anywhere. In my case, it was I'm getting out, but
Right.
She's gotten to see the world.
And the only part that she's now stuck with is still with holding on to her father's
secret
affair. Exactly. But I find it funny that she goes to her mom, and her mom just like grills her, making fun of her of like love advice.
My mom gave me the worst advice.
Right. I mean,
relationship.
Ella and this is just like, well, have you tried talking to him?
My mom was like god awful. She dated her 3 people and married 2 of them. So
right, that's really
not the most helpful.
And then
did your parents give you relationship advice ever? I guess they wouldn't, huh?
No, I mean my mom did. Like she would like talk about how like, yo, you need to date all kinds of people and like get around.
Was that after we started dating?
No. Because shit, like there would be like people that like got married like with their first boyfriend or something to be like,
That's interesting. Your mom told you to slut it up.
Yeah.
Kathy.
She doesn't talk about things, but I know she had multiple boyfriends and things. So
at the same time?
I can't confirm that one.
I'm just kidding. We would never slander your mother's good Catholic name.
Yeah, exactly. Like we would be dragging Mrs. Fields, so we wouldn't do that.
No.
But yeah, no, it's funny. Like my mom won't talk about it that way, but she'll definitely be like, "Oh yeah, this boyfriend took me to these concerts and stuff like that." And
yeah, she talked about how her and her friend used to go stay near Disneyland in her friend's parents' RV or your grandparents' RV or whatever it was.
I think it was like Friends or something. Yeah.
And they'd have boys over.
And
I was like, Kat, you wouldn't let me sleep in the same room as your son after we'd lived together for 5 years. What do you think we did at home? Brenton doesn't usually sleep on the couch.
So yeah, it's funny.
Huh.
Yeah, no.
Well.
Okay. I don't know if I have anything. Well, we can come up if around anything else back on Aria there. And we're back on the fields. But I think with I completely lost it. Oh well. We'll come back around on Emily then. The Spencer stuff is like the most like threatening, I think, out of like all the books. Like Spencer is in the most precarious position, or out of not all the books, all the friends, because she has Ian now at practice, and then like we get some weird things about Ren, where he's like playing innocent. Or
he's just giving you a massage.
Right. He's like, well, I'm a doctor. Of course I just give you a massage. Like, so after the hot tub where like she flees freaking out because she's once again in a weird position, or she finds that like Melissa might be home.
Yeah, and she's in her underwear.
And then he's kind of like, what? I don't know what I did. It's weird. And I don't know how much we're at least in my case, I'm reading that as he's playing a little bit dumb, but it also makes it seem like he doesn't know how to read social situations. That he's like so analytical about like doctor and medical practice.
Oh no, I don't think he's playing dumb. I think that's manipulative. He went outside.
He's intentionally being
Yeah. He went outside to talk to Spencer when she was smoking. He was like, I'm not going to rat you out. I'm gonna be your buddy, yada yada. And then now he's like, I'll give you a massage. It's fine. I'm just rubbing your back. And it's like, okay, creep.
Yeah.
He's a creep.
Which
they're all creeps.
Yes, 100%.
If he's over 18 in this book, he's a creep. That's basically the summary.
Yeah. That
we haven't met anyone's father besides Byron. He's a creep. I mean, like, literally.
100%. Yeah, we haven't met. Well, we have met Mr. Marin.
Well, we just got him mentioned. We didn't meet him though.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
He starts a game of Star Power.
That's Mr. That's not Mr. Marin.
Not Mr.
Mr.
Marin.
Hastings.
God damn it.
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Mr. Hastings isn't technically a creep. He's just
An asshole.
yeah. Mr. Marin, I don't know. You know, like
Yeah.
could be.
You know, they talk about like at
Definitely
work
an asshole.
that like, you know, the leadership informed the culture. That these parents have really reinforced this like absolute gross culture.
Yeah.
You know, we went through high low on the show, but that they intentionally skip over Spencer in their like game at the table, like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's fraught there. She's got a battle for every single little scrap.
Uh-huh. I was surprised they celebrated her the way they did, honestly.
I know. I thought that would actually turn on its head, that like she wouldn't get anything.
I think what actually happens too is not that they intentionally skip her. She gets forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
They are all so wrapped up in their own things that they don't think about her as much.
It's kind of like a family of narcissists.
Mm-hmm. Well, just everything was so centered on how perfect Melissa was that because Spencer isn't better, she's not as good.
Right, exactly.
Does that make sense?
So she doesn't just factor in at all.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Uh-huh.
But you know, and then also she goes to field hockey practice. Gets to run into Ian, who's like intentionally like staring her down and stuff. So it's like the main coach, like this is absolutely should be setting off warning signs. Which, I mean, there's no perspective.
No,
there.
but this was 2006, 2006. Like, there was some horrible shit happening in the education system in high school.
Fair enough.
We had a lot of coaches that were removed for reasons that were not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot. I mean, it was a small town, so like if you have
Right.
more than one, you're like, oh my god, it's the end of the world.
Right.
Which it is. There was bad shit, but you know, it feels like everyone is then a creep. Yeah. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But we get her named friend Kristen immediately calls out that like, oh, you've hooked up.
Yeah.
You know, let's pick up on this stuff.
We know.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell.
Right. And then I just found that we'll see where this ends up dropping. I just got the read that like Ren seems a little aloof. And that he just doesn't read the social situation. In a sense.
I don't know. I think he's intentionally
Actually,
a creep.
like playing dumb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think he's like Ezra.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he's as egregious. I don't know even necessarily if he's like as intentional with it, but I think he's using what he has. Like, I took that as it's fine, I'm a doctor. Not like, oh, it's fine, I'm a doctor. Like, don't, you know.
Right.
It didn't feel clinical.
That's what I was kind of reading at, that he not that it didn't feel clinical, but that he was like somehow misinterpreting that it wasn't. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where it ends up. And I think actually the difference with Fitz here is that we don't get it, at least on its face of it, that he continues to have interest in Aria. That seems to be her projection on top of it because she likes him.
Mm-hmm.
But there is definitely room for there. It's vague, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of whether what she's interpreting back from him after she gives her speech is like, was he being jealous there of like telling Noel to shut up? Even though, you know, in the chapters he told her like, hey, we need to not. So it'll be interesting to see where that lands too. But Hanna just had the monkey paw curl for her. Hanna got her, you know, her quote unquote wish. Hanna is on the other side of a genie's wish, where there's all these like other things. Like she got popularity, she got the boy she wanted, and then she got like, you know, the look she wanted. And we'll get back to that last point in a sec because that one's much more thorny. But she got the boy she wanted, and she's just like, God damn it, he won't give it up. And you know, we like that like she's so like forward about this too. But you know, that's like the other part of the wish. Like she's got this boyfriend, but he's not affectionate with her at all. And so she's like, this is awful. This is what you do. And it's framed in a more like younger sense too, of like, but this is what you do when you're in love.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want this.
And also because like Hannah's so neurotic about looking cool. And like that, once she became pretty and popular and cool, like it is a constant focus for her to maintain that, to the point where she pretends to be dumber than she is. Which is, I think, interesting in comparison to the show.
I think absolutely.
And is she's like, I pick out my perfect outfits, like I have the perfect boyfriend. And so then if the perfect boyfriend isn't behaving perfectly, what else does that mean?
Right.
And am I not perfect enough for him to want to do the normal in air quotes,
Totally.
like people should only have sex when they're ready and willing to have sex, and these are all minors and children, and maybe they should all take a breather, get an icy. But this isn't the life they live, and it's also unrealistic.
Right. Sex is cultural cachet.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Especially at this time in this
I don't know if that's ever going to change with teens. Like, and
I've heard that like the stats are that kids are having sex later now.
Interesting.
I don't know for sure. I mean, obviously I'm not polling.
Right.
But I think, I mean, could that have been COVID? Like, I don't know, like
they couldn't see one another.
Like, can't do anything if you can't 6 feet. It's pretty far.
Right. The Lord certainly did interfere on that one.
Saving room for Jesus laying down and the cross. But like, I don't know. But I think, for her, like this threatens everything that she's built for him to not want to have sex with her.
So she's like, what the hell? Like, why don't you want me?
Well, and it's not because he's like, oh, I don't want to have sex with you. He's like, I'm not having sex, but she doesn't interpret it that way. It becomes, it's about her because she must be the thing that's wrong, because everyone wants to have sex in her mind.
And everything that goes wrong is her fault. And this is where another part where I go like, oh, Hannah. Bless you, child.
Me and Aria and our talking puppet over here having a great time.
Yeah, just like everything is a catastrophe because she is so perfectly maintained. And that's how she sees her mom too. But her mom in this is much more removed. Her mom is constantly working, doing things, doesn't have time, and so she sees her mom from the distance as the powerful woman that like gets what she wants, does the thing, dates beautiful men, and it's like
comes up even when her husband leaves her. Like she's not,
she's like, yeah, exactly. Like in a sense, what we can imagine is like, fine, like I'm gonna
go ahead, I'll do my thing. I have my money, I have my thing. I'll raise our kid. Like
totally.
I'm a boss babe.
And I was like, I joked because I thought it was funny that like in the framing of the book we have like Hannah being like, well,
my mom's a MILF.
But like there is something there of like she has a mom that is like stereotypically beautiful and like is put together that way, so that Hannah wants to emulate that too. And I don't know if it's explicitly said, but this is also tied in with Hannah's weight, right? Because that's not seen as beautiful.
Which is ironic that then her father judges her, because if her mother looks like that, what are the odds that the genes that make it harder for her to lose weight came from her father's side? Not that I mean, they don't ever portray her as heavy. I don't actually know. I mean, they said she was chubby or whatever, but like everyone's chubby. Not everyone. A lot of people are chubby as they grow. And especially like when you go through puberty, your body has to gain a bunch of fat so that it it gets to gain fat so that it can create all those hormones and all the things, or else if you starve your body, it doesn't work right. Yeah.
And even like she has a healthy appetite, but it's she doesn't have the framing to ever see it that way. And obviously that as she starts to become more and more, we're starting to see the unraveling. Like she eats more and more, like binge eats, which is more unhealthy eating, but also gets she feels judgment from all angles. Like when her mom asks, do you need that, like that many?
No, she's being bullied by her mom too.
So that's what I was wondering. I don't know if that's just like, oh, that's like a lot. Like, you don't usually eat 4
or was she worried that she was binging again? Does her mother know that she binged?
And it like is not taking an active role, but is just like
hey, I'm aware.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I can keep an eye on my daughter, and we don't know.
We don't know. We don't have that yet. It's also so a lot of eating disorders and like the research around it, and if like they often say, if you have an eating disorder, like the worst thing they can do is kind of like educate you on it, because like it just gives people ideas. When I took a health class in college, they were like, that we're only going to talk about this for one day and for one small section, because statistically bringing it up makes it more likely for one of you to have an eating disorder, because it gives you ideas. And it's just like how to do it, and how to, once you know how to do something, it's similar to how like if you put a certain narcissist in like couples therapy or in therapy, they can then use that against the person and manipulate them. So like there's certain times where it's not worth mentioning, but I do think it's important to represent it and like have it. And like that was, I mean, a lot of, especially like at that time, like the thin was in, that was it. It was, you know, nothing feels as good as skinny, or nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, or whatever the fuck it was. I remember thinking I had big thighs. Like I was a size 0.
Yeah.
Like I was this teeny tiny little thing, but like because I had some muscle in certain parts of my body, therefore I was not the right body type. And I, of course, come from a family where eating cookies for breakfast is normal. So,
and we also get this with Emily too. She finds her muscular body off-putting.
Yes, she does not like her muscular body, because it is not feminine and dainty and all of those things, and what a woman's body is supposed to be. Though I think that has to do more with Emily's relationship with her, like relationship with her sexuality. I don't look like a dainty little woman, and I can't fit this perfect picture of me and Ben.
Right. Interesting. I was also thinking like that brings up to mind too. It's the do you want to be that person, or do you want to be with that person?
But what I was going to say about Hanna, specifically the binging and purging and eating disorders in general, are usually come from a lack of feeling like you're in control of your life. And it's the one thing you can control, because you can control how much you eat. You can control restricting. You can control, you know, the purging afterwards. And like the binging is where you lose control. And so that's where the panic kind of sets in. And so it becomes like this weird outlet. Or not weird as in like, but not weird as in like negative weird, but just like it's
or at least
it's an unhealthy outlet.
Exactly. As we see when, you know, she drives away and she has to binge eat her fries. She also gets like sneered at by Mona for even ordering sweet potato fries. It's kind of everywhere.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's showing that Hanna feels out of control. Anytime Hanna is binging and purging, she feels out of control.
Yep. Exactly.
Which is usually where that kind of comes from.
And then her own father, and then we later learn one of her best friends are
bullying her.
Exactly.
I mean, even Mona.
You can't
potentially Ashley with the comments about the bars. We don't really know.
Exactly. She at least internalizes it.
Yeah, you could read it that way.
So,
and it probably is that way.
Yeah.
Because like in the we can easily see Ashley having an unhealthy relationship with food too. You know, like it's not.
And even you know, it's just portrayed like, I can't remember if they talk much more, or at least carries over to the show. You know, them talking about like, we're just gonna have our salads today.
Yeah, it was on the show.
Yeah. So it's yeah. No, I you know, I think they do a good job with. Yeah. I don't. Okay, we already talked about Aria and Byron stuff. We don't really have much more to say about that.
No.
Oh, we'll come back around. I'll actually mention this one up here. This was a reference. There's one where she goes searching for old vinyl. I'm assuming she just goes to a CD store.
When was it?
It was on page 100 for me.
Whose section?
Chapter 9, Aria's. They go searching for old vinyl at a store. And I'm assuming that gets like changed to excuse me. Like just going to buy CDs. It was the last couple pages of the chapter. Not to derail us too much.
No, that's fine. Goes to Ezra. It's before she talks to Ezra.
Yes.
I know Ezra had a Snoopy Band-Aid.
I think you still had that one too. No worries if you can't find it.
I was just looking to see.
Maybe it's early in the chapter.
Dad? Yeah, I was like, I don't see this at all.
Oh yeah, I think it was like Allie and her in the store. Actually, this is early in the chapter. Allie and
Oh.
her in this story, they were searching for old vinyl.
When did her and Allie go to a store?
It was before before they rounded the corner and saw Mr. Montgomery, I think.
Okay. Byron and his rolled cigarette. Also, like, whose dad rolls cigarettes? Like,
well, ones that make you call them by their first name.
Exactly. They went to Sparrow Hollis campus's music store to search for new CDs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Liv Tyler one. I was trying to see what other ones we have. I know.
Oh, yeah, we can come back around on some of the rest of them later.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got a list of them coming up. So then we get Maya getting Emily to ditch swim practice, which is already like, I think is also another good thing of Emily can't like do the like rebel like full force. Like she gets like this person to like get her out and go and do things, and she's like, sure, I'm gonna do it, but isn't practice, so isn't good at it. So like is doing something that's probably gonna get her caught because people are gonna notice she's not gonna be at swim practice. Probably get her chewed out and stuff. And so she's like not allowing herself to think about this and is just going with the flow, which is cool until it all comes crashing down when they're like,
there.
Exactly. Maya's like winding up to kind of be like, I like you. And then Emily's immediately like, oh shit.
There's boys here and we have to go because they know that I'm not at swim practice, basically.
Right, exactly. And like I don't know how to deal with those feelings that I have around Maya, like coming like forth with this. It is, yeah, it's I think it's very like telling like that she can't like fully like rebel there, that she's like trying it out, but just like can't get there because they're like blockers and like anxiety like just prevent her from doing that.
Yeah. Emily's just stuck.
Absolutely stuck. And I also put just for note that the Jenna thing happened in 6th grade.
Yes. Yeah. The timeline's very different in this. They're a lot younger in some of these activities.
Right. Totally. So the only other thing too, kind of jumping to the next chapter, looking at Hanna and Mona at the country club, is seeing Wilden and them talking about him being that he used to go to their high school. And he was just like this asshole. He was a star athlete asshole.
Like Noel Kahn.
But like, I think like worse.
Yeah.
Where Noel just kind of seems like, I guess we haven't heard like the rumors and stuff about it. I mean, he throws his parties and stuff. So I guess you're probably right. It is like the Noel Kahn. But that he's this like popular guy, like kid is now that was like rebelling and doing all kinds of crazy shit is now like part of like the enforcement of the community to prevent this sort of thing from happening. It's so good.
I mean, truer words have never been spoken.
It's like really accurate, which is really funny. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad we have this more called out here. And also, Wilden's connection back to the high school makes more sense. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's only like a few years older, really, than them, and they like kind of remember him also because they were there as junior high students, and at least like hearing about this kid.
Yeah, the private school aspect of it.
And now he's this asshole, harassing Hanna for like shoplifting some minor things.
Well, those bracelets are not some minor things, honey.
It's shoplifting in general.
I was like, no, you don't
really
steal from
expensive.
Tiffany's for cheap.
We actually didn't talk about her getting taken to the station, but I like that Ashley just immediately goes into problem solving mode. It's just like, give me the bracelet. Like, we're gonna fix this. Like, I'll figure this out. And like, immediately like tries to cover and like has multiple backup plans to tell the cops like when they like call her out on different stuff. So that Miss Maron's like, okay, you're not going down for this. Like, I understand like what's going on. Even though I'm not like a close mom, like I'm gonna fiercely protect you.
I was wondering if Tiffany still made charm bracelets to look up and see how much they were.
Oh, good God.
The heart tag bracelet Just so like return to Tiffany heart tag charm bracelet is $525. And then like some of the like clasping link charm bracelets are anywhere from like, there's one that's like $650, $850 but doesn't have charms on it, and then the ones with like charms and things on them start $1,650 and go up to $4,000.
Okay, so she's shoplifting serious change here.
Yeah. No, that's not a small not a small item.
No, definitely not.
You know, I mean, I guess it was different then, but sorry, my mother texted me a picture of the Portuguese princess Barbie she found in my closet.
That sounds so good.
I shit you not. And I'm sure my grandmother bought it for me because
Portuguese princess Barbie. Oh my god.
What, you don't think she's pretty? She's got a really long neck.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know if you can show it to the camera, but you're
Oh
watching.
yeah, that actually does work. Oh my god.
She looks a little scary, but
A little bit.
I'm a Portuguese princess, and you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, it looked worse.
Except I'm not royalty at all. And
Princess of the Portuguese Empire. That's so funny.
Isn't that funny? It's a collector's edition. I have so many collector's edition Barbies. They're worth nothing. Cool.
We also get an introduction early to Andrew now, who's kind of like the sniveling rival to Spencer. I thought it was so good that when she's like, he could be A. Oh, thank God. Like, he's such a... I can deal with him.
Yeah, like, I can take him down.
Uh-huh. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That she's, like, immediately scanning around who it could possibly be, and it's just like, this fucking chump. Like, he doesn't know what he's getting into. It's so good. That's the only thing I had for that chapter, I think. Other than Mrs. Hastings is no longer a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's like taking that out.
Yeah.
She's just like a kind of like well-to-do woman.
Yeah.
And like the scion of a major family.
Which I love that she's a lawyer in the show because she defends like at some point everyone. She's the only lawyer in town, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to defend this person. I'm going to defend Garrett. All right. Oh, and the only other thing for Aria and the Fitz speech in that chapter, we hear that Mike was could not make friends and was trying to get like weed abroad and was just getting absolutely ripped off for time packs.
Yes, yeah, that was funny.
It's so good. They're like, yeah, whatever, dude. And yeah, that's good. I also so in the next chapter is when Spencer runs into Emily, and they just have this like awkward exchange that I think is like really good because it's
Spencer's they're like, can I walk away?
It's like, I feel like I should say something to you, but you can tell they spend so much of their time not even ever seeing each other, and if they do see each other, just avoiding. That it's like, oh, I kind of have to deal with this person that I like know well, but not anymore. So
it's the same when Hanna sees Spencer or like talks about Spencer with the Kate Spade bags. And it's like, you know so much about this person that you don't see anymore. I think it's a really good representation of that. Like, you know how there's certain friends that like you don't talk to anymore, but like you still know their birthday or like their favorite color when you were friends, or like you remember what their childhood home was like, and you know, like
all these like weird facts.
Yeah, all these weird facts about them, or like that they like to only wear mismatched socks, or you know, I don't know. I think that it's kind of interesting because then that person freezes in time for you, but like obviously they don't freeze in time for themselves. So like we're getting all of that from all these different angles, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, totally. That it's like, okay, I can still recognize this person even if I don't know them anymore. Recognize them in a more deeper way, like you said, with like the way Spencer shops and what she buys.
I used to know what she bought. Do I still know what she buys? I don't know.
But I can visualize her exactly what she's doing here. And with like her having to run like straight into Emily, it's just like brings up all these like negative like connotations too, because it's like, now I'm remembering the Jenna thing, I'm remembering Allie. Like, these are not things that I think like Spencer's normally thinking about, but because she is brought to face with this person, that she's like, I have to remember all this stuff. And also, Toby in this one is not a step sibling.
No.
So we'll see what's up with Toby. We haven't gotten any introduction to Toby.
I don't think it goes well for Toby. And I don't think we like Toby in the book.
Doesn't seem like it. All right. We've talked about the swim practice. So, oh, and then like later, Mona is gonna. In the last chapter we read this week, she's going to do a golf tournament with her mother, which is so funny because Mona is so disconnected in this show from having any sort of family. So I thought like immediately drawing in that like they're a nice, well-to-do family in the town also makes sense.
We do end up meeting a parent of hers. I don't know if both or just one later in the show, but you didn't get there.
Right. Yeah.
It's like there's more about a couple other characters that obviously like you don't know that I'm like, oh, that's where they got this from, I think.
Got it.
But I don't know how it plays.
They got from like
the book. But I don't know how it plays out for them in the book versus how it played out for them in the show. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, if like there's like a plot
Things
of
change.
Arias that's the same but not, or whatever. But it's side characters.
Other
names that you're like, huh.
Right. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's how that came in.
Michelangelo.
He comes back?
Well, Mike does come back a couple of times.
Yeah. It's like just Ken. I think that's it. Everything I had for this week. Do we want to do a run through of references?
Yeah, let's just do like some high level ones because we've got some phone swaps and some basics like that. But I think that in the Liv Tyler one.
Yes.
But I think my favorite is when Hanna in her sweet potato chapter is in her car. And I don't know what yours says, but mine says it's the after her chapter 11? Yeah, after her transformation, Hanna had been neurotically careful about not only looking cool and perfect at all times, but being cool and perfect too. Terrified that the tiniest mistake would send her spiraling back to dorkdom, she labored over every last detail, from little things like the perfect I am screen name and the right mix for her car's built-in iPod, to bigger stuff like the right combo of people to invite over before someone's party and choosing the perfect it boy to date.
Oh my god, those are some good ones.
Yeah, an I am screen name, which important.
What page is that for you?
I don't know.
Say.
Let me stay here. Page 89, according to mine.
Okay.
I don't think we have the same page numbers.
No.
You want me to try to find it?
I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, tiny mistake. From little things like the perfect Instagram feed and the perfect playlist for long car rides. That's so funny.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, I am screen name, like that was big.
Yeah.
Cultivating an Instagram feed, much harder.
Yes. Yeah. Ashley having multiple phones. I have Spencer and her crystal studded sidekick.
Oh, that's good.
When she's talking to Andrew and he's like, "Oh, I think a jewel fell off your crystal studded sidekick."
Oh, that's so good. Like a bejeweled sidekick.
Yeah, we had those crystal-y cases. What other notes do I have? Kindle is freezing. There was a show called Nerve. I didn't know if that was real or not that they referenced.
Yeah, it was they didn't change. I don't think that was real because it's the same reality show in my book too. Because I also wrote that down. Oh, a couple pages later, does she mention Champion? I doubt it.
She might, because Champion came back.
Was Champion big around that time? I thought Champion was just like a regular...
Andrew went on hefting his North Face backpack. Is that what it is?
Let me double check. I wrote down the reference. No, it wasn't that one. Her mom sat at the little telephone table in a hot pink Champion sports bra. And black flare leg yoga pants. This is Hanna.
Oh, okay. So it's after the Emily and Spencer? Or...
Yeah, it's 2 pages after the mention of Nerve.
Oh, I thought you meant after the sidekick.
Oh, sorry.
So I was like...
I meant where I was thinking that I got stuck on the chapter the last chapter you were talking about.
Let me go back. Kindle does not want to load. The V Club. That's what popped up. Her mom and a hot pink champion sports bra and black flare-legged yoga pants.
Stayed the same.
Yep, because the flare-legged yoga pants came back.
So there's like certain ones.
There's certain ones that
Sarah
they just
Shepherd's
left.
going through here, just like, thank God that's still around.
Yeah.
All right. It's a Nike backpack in mine instead of North Face.
Why? Like that was a pointless change, right? Everyone knows North Face still.
Yep.
Does Nike make backpacks?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do, but like
is it like known?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is that the backpack you buy? I don't know.
Guess so. But did you have any others?
Those are really it. I mean, there were some like little like phones and things like that, but nothing like.
If I could have you go to chapter 13 and 3 pages in, there's mention of Timothy Chalamet lookalike.
It can't be the same.
Uh-huh.
Reading Middlemarch. Is it after her mom's there or no?
I believe so. 36 in my book chapter. As the other kids filed into the language room, this is Aria adored oral report. She had perfect sexy gravelly voice for him, and she adapted to the play really well. This is her like reminiscing on Reykjavik.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get to out of the high-low section.
Okay.
You said 3 pages after? Okay.
3 or 4 pages. So the start of the paragraph is as the other kids filed in. Okay.
I don't see any names. She said she saw Waiting for Godot.
Yeah, after that, once she'd spent a whole Sunday in a Reykjavik bar vehemently arguing.
With an Adrian Brody lookalike.
That's like night and day. Adrian Brody and Timothy Chalamet are not 1-to-1. You would think it'd be like Leo DiCaprio or something, like young Leo. I don't know who else. Who else could you do in that one? Heath Ledger, I think, lookalike. I'm trying to think of other like younger like heartthrobs around. Like,
but with the Gen Zs, no Heath Ledger.
I'm talking about in your copy.
Oh, yeah.
Adrian Brody's a weird pull. That's like a very like older person.
But I think it's because it's Aria. Like it's supposed to be telling us something.
Oh, in your book, rather than where they just went like, let's pull another like big actor that's young.
He's yeah. It's like telling us like, oh, she went for like this guy who's a lookalike of Adrian Brody, who's this slightly older guy. You know what I mean? Like so Aria's tastes skew older boy.
So now it's completely divorced of context when it's talking about
Timothy Chalamet.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. How old was Adrian Brody to us then versus how old is Timothy Chalamet to a 14-year-old now? But he doesn't look older. Exactly. I guess that's part of it, is the aesthetic. You'd be better off putting like a Chris Pratt, but I mean not, because you want like the dark. I think she went off of like the aesthetic of like the darker skinny guy.
So he's 50 now. So he would have.
They should have used
30s.
the Darkling. What's his name?
Oh, right. Ben. No.
Yeah. Ben
Barnes.
Thank you. I was like, there's alliteration.
Yeah. So Timothy Chalamet is 27 now, and Adrian Brody would have been in his 30s.
Yeah. So you needed still older.
Yeah.
Yeah. You needed like
Timothy
a Ben
Chalamet
Barnes.
Looks young. Yeah. Yeah. Ben Barnes is perfect. Right.
But they should have had me do this.
Exactly. Maybe Sarah Shepherd, doesn't know his work.
Or I don't know if Sarah Shepherd technically. I mean, on her post she said she did it, but like,
right, exactly.
Is that something you do for yourself?
Is it really just whatever digital that like put it together?
Wouldn't you need to recruit in some fellow kids? Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, she went back online and asked them about their references.
She just scrolled through TikTok picking people.
Yeah, Timothy comes up a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny.
It was already such an older guy, I was kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, it's Adrian Brody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's certain ones that like you would never think in yours.
Yeah.
But then in mine, I'm immediately like, okay, Timothy Chalamet
was not doing the thing.
How old would we have been there? Like minus 16 years. So
Like 10, 11.
exactly.
Yeah, not the vibe.
Ooh. He was
He was a weon.
being Wonka was just merely a twinkle in his eye. All right. I think that's probably it.
I think we should cut you off now.
I guess so. More. I pontificate on
Timothy Chalamet.
So read through the rest of the book.
Finish it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do it. Finish it.
Thanks, Mr. Fitz.
Yeah. And we'll reconvene in a couple weeks.
And we'll all give our oral book reports like Aria.
Yeah.
We'll set the scene.
That's.
I was sitting in my bed, surrounded by a corgi who gives me no space, and a man, and maybe some snacks. And that's the scene for me for reading.
But you can find this podcast on all your podio. Ooh, there you go. It's not audio, it's podio. Your audio podcast platforms of choice. You can also find us on YouTube at Dead Ends on both of those. On YouTube, it's at dead_ends. Easiest way to find us. You can also send emails, questions, comments into our inbox at deadendspcast@gmail.com. Most people leave comments on YouTube, but feel free to send an email if you'd like. And I don't think there's anywhere else you can find us.
I mean, our link trees have our socials.
Yeah, and I stopped posting on co-hosts. I dropped that kind of fast. I needed to get back to do that. Anyways, so finish the book next time, and remember, you're still here. We're gonna find out everything.
I don't think we're gonna find out anything by the end of this book.
Well, we're gonna find out that the friends are back together.
We're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
Goodbye. That's beautiful.